What an unbelievable finish to that game. True game of two halves. And it looked like that the Chiefs were going to do it all over again. It looks like there was going to be a one-score game that they weren't going to be on the winning end of. But fortunately for them, they got themselves the win. Field goals galore, 1 touchdown for the Chiefs, 2 for the Indianapolis Colts. And like I said, it's a game of two halves. In the first half, the Colts offense was popping. They were making plays all the time. They looked like they were going to score all the time. They were finding their first downs. But they just didn't have the ball enough. So I think off the bat, Mahomes throws a pick, nearly a pick six, but not quite. He makes the tackle there to stop it from happening. But then the Colts then go on and score. Now from there, the Chiefs have a very, very long drive. They use Kareem Hunt a lot, which they ended up doing for the entire game. I think he had 30 carries in the end and ran 104 yards. He was used heavily in this match. And what that meant is that the Chiefs had a lot of time in possession. It took them 1 possession for the rest of that quarter into the second quarter, where they only ended up scoring 3 points. They couldn't quite convert it to a touchdown. So going into the second quarter, it was 7-3. The Colts come out again and score another touchdown very quickly. They get from one side of the field to the other really, really fast. And then the Chiefs, again, hold the ball for a long period of time, for the rest of that quarter to get 3 points. I had a conversation with a few people about this, and I said that they were going to, if the Chiefs were going to win this game, it was going to be in the air. My cousin Paul turned around to me and said, well, they're going to need Kareem Hunt to really show up in the running game to allow that passing game to open up. And I think he did. I think they put a lot of the groundwork in, no pun intended, in the first half. They gave the ball to him a lot in the first, not just in the first half, but that's where the groundwork was set. Mahomes started finding Rice in open coverage in the second half far more than the first. Rishi Rice ended up having 8 receptions and 141 receiving yards. Mahomes threw 46 times, completing 29 times, and scored 352 passing yards. No touchdowns, 1 interception, and he got sacked 4 times. So that tells you a story. He got sacked 4 times, 1 interception, but he just kept throwing and throwing and throwing, and it worked in the end. Compare that to Daniel Jones, who threw 31 times, 19 of those 31 completed, and 101 throwing yards, 2 touchdowns, but they still ended up on the losing side. Now, I think that came down to 2 things. First, Patrick Mahomes was able to find Rishi Rice in open coverage in the second half. Because Kareem Hunt had so many possessions, that's what allowed that to happen in the second half. And my cousin Paul was absolutely right about that. And it manifested, and that's the way they won the game. But more significantly for me, I think the Kansas City Chiefs defense showed up in the second half. The Colts looked like they were going to score every possession they had. Even though they didn't have that many, Kansas held the ball for such a long period of time in that first half. Well, through the game, actually, but particularly in that first half when the Colts offense was popping. And then all of a sudden, they had 4 3-and-outs in a row. That was huge from the Chiefs, because there was a couple of times where, you know, they were looking to get a touchdown. They only scored 3 points. So the Colts scored 14 points, scoring 2 touchdowns, and then scored 2 field goals after that. Now, Kareem Hunt finally got himself on the score sheet. He really deserved a touchdown today. He jumped over the pack brilliantly to set up a finish. Just before that, he had fumbled right on the line. He fumbled right on the line, and straight away, Spag bought the blitz from the Kansas City defense and were able to get another 3-and-out, which led to a fairly slow drive and a touchdown. Another 3-and-out from the Colts, leading to a Kansas City 3-and-out, and then another Colts 3-and-out. And then Kansas went on to drive. Now, I know they were trying to slow down the clock at the end. I know they wanted to score a touchdown and give Colts no chance to reply. And it turned out to work, because obviously they missed the touchdown, scored a field goal, ended up winning in overtime. But at the time when you're watching the game, you think, just take the points. They decided to go for a play through the middle. And I think their mindset on this was like, well, if Hunt gets through, he gets through and we score a touchdown. But if he doesn't, then we waste some clock. We try another touchdown attempt, and then we go for the field goal into overtime. Ultimately, it worked. But I always think it's such a risky move to do that. Because if you get that wrong, and then in overtime you're on the receiving end of the team, then it was a bad decision. Ultimately, it was a good one. They go into overtime. The Colts win the toss, elect to receive, 3-and-out. And then they're back down the field for a field goal from Butker to win the game, who kicked much, much better. He's not had the best season kicking-wise. He's missed quite a few kicks, more than he usually would. So he was on the mark today, and his field goal won the game in the end. But the Kansas City defense, with all those 3-and-outs against what was the best attacking offense in the NFL, was the biggest reason why the Chiefs won this game. And does that now mean that the Chiefs will go on to a run and get themselves into a playoffs. And we know that when they are in the playoffs, they're a playoff team. They always have the ability to do well. They've been there, they've done it. And I think if they can get there, all the other teams around them will be looking at them thinking, oh no, the Chiefs got in again. So this was a huge win for them, a huge win. They've got a run now. I think they play the Cowboys next, who beat the Eagles yesterday in a really, really similar match, by the way. The Eagles showed up in the first half and then didn't score another point after they got to 21. They went 21-0 up, didn't score another point, and then the Cowboys came back. So a remarkably similar game. But those two teams are going to face off against each other, and that should be a great match because the Cowboys are starting to cook. Kansas City got a huge win here, and it's going to be a really, really interesting game because both teams need to win. Go through the rest of the scores now. So I had the Bills and Texans. I reviewed that game. If you missed it, I'll hit the link in the description so you can catch up on that one. The Bills lost to the Texans. It was 23-19. It was a really, really good game. A game dominated by Anderson and Hunter. A very defensive game all round, really. The Bills' defense and special teams also did really well. But those two guys, I think, were the difference. And the Texans came out with a win. That would have definitely hurt the Bills. Then we had the New Orleans Saints, obviously, worst team in the NFL this year, lost to the Falcons. The Eagles, we just mentioned, they lost to the Dallas Cowboys. I didn't call that one. The Browns beat the Raiders quite comfortably, 24-10. We had Jacksonville with another win against the Cardinals. They're doing quite well now. Great game with the Detroit Lions against the Giants. I haven't watched it, but from what I understand, listening to the report, listening to the information coming in and reading the report, that it was a really, really good game. Patriots just keep plucking away, 26-20 in an AFC match against the Bengals, adding more misery onto the Bengals, and then the Patriots looking like they're moving ever so closer to that first seed in the AFC. Pittsburgh lose to the Bears. They can't seem to win in Chicago. That was 31-28. We had the New York Jets and the Baltimore Ravens. So the Ravens had a 23-10 victory against the Jets. The Seahawks 30, the Titans 24. They were quite far ahead at one point, the Seahawks. So the Titans obviously rejuvenated later on in the game. I missed that one. But again, another win from the Seahawks there. So that's the results for the NFL this weekend. I hope you enjoyed the football. I'm going to slowly try and catch up with the rest of the games over the next couple of days. But Kansas City still in with a chance. Are they going to make the playoffs? Let me know what you think. And if they do, are they genuine contenders for the Super Bowl? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you're enjoying the videos, please hit subscribe to support my channel so I can continue bringing these videos to you.